Since Halloween was 364 days ago, I thought it only makes sense to do a Halloween related video now, because like I said, it makes sense. I mean, this is so close to being the longest we've gone without Halloween. If we go another 3 days without a Halloween, it'll break some sort of record. The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episodes have always been some of The Simpsons' most popular episodes. Hell, even now, years after people have said The Simpsons jumped the shark, the Treehouse of Horror episodes still drag in the views. The Treehouse of Horror episode in each season always rank among my favourite episodes in their respective season. Well, only up to about season 20. After season 20, The Simpsons seem to forget about the horror aspect of the Treehouse of Horror episodes. However, I'm happy to report that season 29's Treehouse of Horror episode seemed to go more into the right direction. None of the segments are top 10 worthy, but it was at least the best Treehouse of Horror episode in at least 5 years.
That doll is evil, I tells ya! Evil! Evil!
There were 3 other segments that were close to getting this slot. Ultimately, I gave the number 10 slot to Clown Without Pity because not only did I find it to be the funniest out of the episodes I was considering, but I really liked them using Krusty as a villain, even if it was just a doll of him. The segment has Homer buying a Krusty doll for Bart, not even as a last minute gift, just as a flat out late gift that Homer poorly tries to make an excuse for where the gift is. The doll trying to kill Homer is hilarious. The segment includes some extremely funny and memorable moments, including "You've got this doll set to evil" and "The toaster's been laughing at me."
Ned Flanders is pointing a gun at me! You couldn't even shoot me by accident, even if I whacked the barrel like this! Blip, blip, blip!
Yes, believe it or not, I have segments on this list from beyond season 10. This is one of the funniest Treehouse of Horror segments ever. Flanders, the nice guy that he is, being forced to predict future gruesome deaths, but not being able to stop them, is brilliant. This segment isn't too horror-y, but the comedy helps make up for that. I recommend this one if you are more interested in the comedy above all else in the Treehouse of Horror series. Homer killing everyone because of how dumb he is and how over the top his death is pretty damn funny.
Are you saying you killed Jimbo, processed his carcass, and served him for lunch?
Despite this one being about cannibalism, I don't think it's as scary or disturbing as one other entry on this list. The Skinner eating Jimbo scene is disturbing for me to hear though, and Lunch Lady Doris's face at the end would be on another level of terrifying, if actually in Bart and Lisa's situation. Strangely enough, the scene I find hardest to watch is the dance at the end, which I'm not even sure if I'd class it as the end to this segment or the episode as a whole, but it does connect to this segment more than the other segments in the episode. This is one that is mostly on here because of the creepiness factor, but I think there are some hilarious moments too, like how the teachers casually use missing students' names as parts of new food in the cafeteria.
Bart, does it strike you as odd that Uter disappeared and suddenly they're serving us this mysterious food called Uterbraten?
My favourite part though is Marge telling Bart and Lisa to tell the staff members not to eat them.
No, I've never liked that little wiener Millhouse.
No more murders!
The Simpsons family and, more accurately, Marge thinks that they/she has killed Ned. Ned then comes back somehow alive and it turns out he's a werewolf and tries to kill the Simpsons. Ned as a werewolf is just a brilliant idea and I love the attention to detail with his werewolf design. I mean, damn! Look at that mustache. That right there, that's definitely a Flandery mustache. This isn't one of the funniest segments for me. The Homer poking Flanders in the eye with a stick is one of the funniest things to me ever from The Simpsons.
You can't kill the undead, silly.
He's undead alright.
While those eye-poking moments would have at least made me consider this episode, what pushed it over the edge and secured us a slot on this list is that I think it's one of, if not the creepiest Treehouse of Horror segment. I found this to be one of the scariest and creepiest when I was young, and even now I stand with my younger brain in thinking this is one of the most horror-y segments. Usually I don't feel any tension in these segments, but this one is a big standout. Especially weird considering I don't think werewolves as a concept are the least bit creepy. It's the impending threat that's the scary part.
But if I died, she'd be completely free, for man or machine.
Marge gets the house modernized. Homer, unsurprisingly, is the highlight, not catching on to Pierce trying to kill him and him destroying the water softener. I don't know too much about Pierce Brosnan other than the fact that he was a James Bond and had the greatest singing performance in the history of cinema.
You love me, and you know it.
But hey, they managed to make him a creepy character, or machine. I haven't seen 2001: A Space Odyssey, and I haven't seen a lot of things the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror segments parody, but I'd honestly say that makes me a fairly good judge in saying whether it works as its own thing or not. This episode is really funny and definitely does work as its own thing.
Shut your squeal hole, booze jockey. I'm gonna, totally waste you.
Ah, somebody's a grumpy Gus.
Another episode I find particularly creepy, which is strange because it's an episode about a toupee. But hey, the Simpsons managed to pull off almost everything they were going for from seasons 4 to 10. Homer's new toupee from Snake, whom was executed, causes him to kill all of the witnesses of Snake's last crime before his electric chair punishment. There isn't much that I can say about this one. The concept is just brilliant, even though the kills aren't the most creative thing in the world.
Hey, there's a bug that looks like Dad. Let's kill it, okay?
Homer goes back in time using a toaster, something so stupid and that makes so little sense that it actually makes total sense for his character. He then keeps flip-flopping with time so that he can make his time go back to normal. Flanders at one point is an evil dictator. That is perfect. I love Flanders being a villain. This is a very funny segment because the writers played around with changing reality. Seeing different present timeline possibilities just oozes creativity.
Oh, lousy smarts weather. Do not touch Willie. Good advice.
Homer causes Willie to burn alive, and as revenge, Willie plans to kill all the town's kids in their dreams. Yeah, he's basically Freddy Krueger. The episode isn't subtle. There isn't too much I can say on this one other than that it played around with its concept well, and it's always awesome seeing badass Maggie. This episode is more subtle than the shinning though.
Police, this is Marge Simpson. My husband is on a murderous rampage. Over.
Oh, well, thank God that's over. I was worried there for a second.
This is probably the most iconic Treehouse of Horror segment in Simpsons history, and no wonder why, it does pretty much everything flawlessly. Going back with what I said about me not seeing a lot of movies, I haven't seen The Shining, but I do recognise the more iconic moments from it. It's probably pretty difficult to find people that haven't heard of the Here's Johnny moment in some way. Me actually recognising these moments really helps boost my enjoyment with this. I don't think this segment makes it feel like the threat is life endangering, even though, you know, there's, freaking zombies? That isn't a problem for me though, as it is funny. My reason for this not making the list though is that I don't think it gets really good until Homer becomes a big part of it. The zombies tapping his head and getting angrier and walking away because they want brains is fantastic, and Homer saying he was a zombie is an iconic and brilliant line, but like I said, a bit slow in the beginning. Hugo is
Creepy as shit.
and is a good Treehouse of Horror villain because of it. The ending with Bart being the real evil twin is amazing, especially seeing him get the treatment Hugo was previously getting. The best part for me is Hibbert punching Hugo through a mirror frame, one without any glass in. The episode is pretty damn creepy just because of Hugo, but not quite funny enough to crack the top 10. Night of the Dolphin is pretty funny, but the horror element except for a bit of blood is almost not even in there. It's not quite funny enough to make the list just because of that, and yeah, almost no horror.
Flanders! You're the devil?
It's always the one you least suspect. Now, many people offer to sell their souls without reflecting upon the grave ramifications.
Do you have a donut or not?
Homer makes a deal with the devil, and it's Flanders. Again, it's Flanders again. Why is he such a goddamn great freaking villain in Treehouse of Horror segments? Who would expect Flanders to be the devil? This segment is just so jam-packed with humour that it's kind of ridiculous. The horror aspect is kept fairly low, but we do get stuff like the torture scene and just things that would break the reality of a normal episode. Lionel Hutz plays a big part in this episode, and it honestly might be my favourite appearance from him. The whole concept of Homer being so dumb that he has to eat the forbidden donut, that will get him tortured forever, is a brilliant one. Homer's head as a donut is great and also pretty iconic. I always use it in the Simpsons Hit and Run whenever I replay that. Most of the great stuff does come from a polite but evil Flanders. It's a match made in heaven. Offensive. It's definitely ironic. It's just a fantastic Treehouse of Horror segment and one of the funniest things that has ever come from The Simpsons. Bye. I guess.